Hello, welcome to the Learning Curve. I'm Marjorie Began. March seems to be that strange month that bridges winter with spring. People look for things to do in March, and here in Mansfield, we're having our community read. Well, just so happens that Bridgewater State University is also beginning their community read in mid-March. And here to talk to us about it is Susan McComb, Director of University and Community Partnerships. Welcome, Susan.
Thank you for having me here.
Well, tell us about the Bridgewater State University read.
I would love to. This semester, we choose a book each semester, and we partner with the town of Bridgewater and really surrounding towns, anybody that wants to join in reading the book or just coming to our events. You don't have to read the book to come to the events. We're reading The Elephant Whisperer by Lawrence Anthony. And personally, this is my favorite book we've read so far. And I think it's because I really love animals. I like reading books about animals and the environment and people who are trying to do things for the animals and the environment these days with all that's happening. And so Lawrence Anthony was asked, he owns a reserve, conservation land in Africa, and he was asked to take in this herd of rogue elephants. They were rogue because many things had happened to traumatize them, so they became bad elephants. They kept escaping from wherever they were kept. And they were going to be put down because people thought that, you know, they can't deal with these elephants. So someone called Lawrence Anthony and said, would you please take this herd of elephants? You know, perhaps you can do something with them. And so he agreed. And as they were getting ready to transport this herd of elephants, I guess the matriarch and her baby had tried to escape. And so the people that were trying to get them together and get them to this reserve shot the matriarch and the baby. And so that just angered the rest of the herd. And it angered Lawrence Anthony because he thought, wait a minute, these are my elephants now. So that upset him, and he was bound and determined that he was going to take these elephants and do what he could to save them. And when they got to his reserve, they kept escaping from where you have to put them in a sort of a enclosure first so they get used to where they are. So he actually managed to get really inside the minds of these elephants. And the book is about how he starts to understand what these elephants need, what has happened to them, why they're behaving the way they are, and what they need from him and from the people that work for him so that they can become the elephants that they really should be. And it's a wonderful story about this reserve, and you know, I'm not going to kid you. There were times when I was crying because there's just some things that happen in the book, whether it's because of nature or because of humans, but it's a really wonderful story with a really nice ending in that these elephants get acclimated, and at some points in time they get so attuned to this gentleman, this Lawrence Anthony, that they end up showing up at his house at certain times, and there's just different things that happen, and it's a wonderful book. And actually the author, Lawrence Anthony, passed away a few years ago, and on the day that he died, well, the animals came from all over the reserve, the elephants came from all over the reserve to pay tribute to him, and they just started showing up at his resort. He has a resort where people can come and pay money, and then they go out and see the animals, and that's really how they make the money to keep the reserve going. The reserve is called Tula Tula. And the animals showed up when he passed away, and they have shown up every year on the day of his death ever since.
Oh my gosh.
So this book really helps you to learn about elephants and how they really are a family. They really pay tribute to any elephant that's in the herd that might die, or there's just things that these elephants do, and it's amazing. How did they know? You know, how did they know that he passed away? It wasn't like anyone called them up and said, oh, by the way, did you know? But he had become part of the herd. And that's the best thing about the book, is to read how it starts out with them hating man, hating what he's trying to do, and then to a point where they love him and he has become part of the herd. So it's a wonderful, wonderful story.
It sounds fascinating. You know, really fascinating. We so underestimate animals.
It's true.
You know, and I think at least now in our world, we're beginning to understand that. more and more, and letting these wonderful beings be who they are.
Exactly.
And not just trying to entertain us.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's disappointment on our part that Lawrence Anthony passed away. We usually bring the author to come and speak, and that's not possible. So we have a number of events starting on March 18th, our kickoff event with Gloria and Tom Moran. They're community members. She was a professor at the university. And they went to Africa recently and went to Zimbabwe and some other countries in Africa. And she's going to talk about their trip to Africa. And she took wonderful photographs, so she'll be talking about all of that. And then we have some book discussions planned. We have a scientist at the university who I found out actually does research on elephants. Every summer he goes to Africa and he does lots of different types of research on elephants. And one thing that he's researching, and it's referenced in this book, the noises they make. Lawrence Anthony refers to a rumbling in the stomach noise that these elephants make. And so this scientist is studying the noises, the infrasound that elephants make. And he's going to talk to us about what those sounds are, where they're really coming from, and what they might mean, what we think they might mean because of when they make the sounds and what happens because of them. And we have a person whose name is Lisa Budge Johnson. She lives locally, but she volunteers at a sanctuary in Tennessee, which I had no idea there was an elephant sanctuary in Tennessee. That
Who
sounds
would?
so strange when you think of it. But it's a huge lot of acres of land, and elephants that have been abused, been in circuses, been in zoos, they come to this sanctuary and they get to live out the rest of their lives just being elephants and having, the grounds to walk on, to do what they want to do. They don't have to be chained anymore and get acclimated to other elephants. And it's a comfortable setting for them, such that they only have cameras in certain places where you can view the elephants online, but people cannot get into this reserve. They just don't allow that because it's not a place for that. This is a place where these elephants can now come and not be put on show.
And have dignity.
Yes, exactly.
Live out their lives in dignity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have African elephants and Asian elephants, which I don't know if you know the difference, but Asian elephants' ears are smaller, and I don't know if there are other differences in them, but African elephants are the ones with the really big ears. So they have Asian elephants and African elephants, and they have kept them separated because those are two very different kinds of elephants.
Yeah,
but
we think, oh, it's an elephant.
I know. But it's so she's going to tell us about all the work that the sanctuary does. And then we have on campus, we have Hakate. It's an African drumming band. They've been together since before 2002 because they played at the last president's inauguration, I remember. And it's a wonderful African drumming band, and we're actually going to have them come and play at the senior center. So we've got some good events, and we usually try to find food that relates to whatever. So we have found some snacks, some African snacks, and of course we'll have African coffee, probably from one of the countries that Gloria and Tom visited, I believe. So one of our members has created, I think using some kind of pastry in a can, elephant ears. So we'll have elephant ear snacks. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And I really encourage anyone to join us.
Oh, it sounds great. So this begins mid-March and runs until?
April 29th is our last event. It's a Saturday, and that's when Hakate will be in concert at the Senior Center in Bridgewater.
Sounds wonderful.
And there is a Facebook page. It's One Book, One Community Facebook page, and you can go there and find out when our events are happening.
So we encourage people to go, free events.
Absolutely.
And they sound amazing. And if anybody really loves animals and
who doesn't like elephants?
Exactly. Exactly. They're, wonderful creatures, and kudos to those people who have been trying, to help them.
Yeah,
and,
really.
They are like whales. They are very dignified animals.
Exactly. And since he took in that rogue herd, he's taken in more elephants and other animals like rhinos and white rhinos and endangered species. So he's really helping to keep that that going in Africa, and keep those animals alive and living the life they need to live.
That's great. Well, thank you for coming and talking about your read.
Thank you.
And I hope the people here in Mansfield, between the Mansfield Community Read and the Bridgewater State University Community Read, March is a very exciting month.
It's a great time to read.
Exactly. And thank you for being with us today, and we hope you join us next time on The Learning Curve.